Now let's start to do this. Get the embroidery thread first. An embroidery thread consists of 6 strands. We can split as what we want and thread onto the needle. The embroidery thread strung on the needle should be long on one side and short on the other, and the long knot can be embroidered. Threaded embroidery needles come out from the bottom, and then takes another thread and stitches it. Then use this embroidery thread to fix the previous embroidery thread on the embroidery cloth at a certain intervals. When this line is finished, put the thread into the bottom. Contour embroidery thread comes out from the bottom. Take a needle forward, but don't tighten completely. Then step back to the middle of the 2 needles and thread out. Tension the thread after threading out. Repeat to do this. The stitch I'm backing up and threading out is above the position of the previous stitch. Every stitch that goes afterwards below should be at the same position of the previous knitting. That is to say, the retreating needle must come out in the same direction. Straight stitch is embroidered between the 2 points of the pattern. Flying stitch means needle comes out from the bottom and comes in the next point. Do not tighten the line completely and thread in the middle. After the needle is out, put the thread over the needle and tighten it. Repeat embroidery like this. Back stitches should embroider a straight line on the embroidery cloth. Then thread the needle out forward under the embroidery cloth. This stitch goes back to the previous stitch and threads into the embroidery cloth. Repeat embroidery like this. Whipped back stitch should embroider a back stitch on clothing. When finished this line, needle comes throughout the bottom. Go through. Wrap the thread around the straight line in front. Satin embroidery is straight line embroidered between 2 points with a pattern. Repeat to stitch one by one. Leaf stitches. First, embroider a straight line from the bottom of the leaf. Then embroidered in this straight line, one stitch next to another, until this leaf is finished. Long and short needle embroidery. First, embroider this needle with a longer straight line. Repeat to do this. This is the long and short needles of the first layer. After the first layer of long and short stitches are completed, let's embroider the second layer of long and short stitches. Remember to embroider like this. The second layer should press the embroidery of the first layer. Three twine stitches. Needle goes through the bottom. Cross the embroidery cloth on the other side of the petals. After the needle, I usually insert another embroidery needle next to this needle. It's easier to embroider. Then wrap the thread around your finger. Then put on this needle. According to the size of this petal, put this embroidery thread on. After the set is set, pinch it with your left hand and pass the needle through. Then the second needle is threaded into the cloth. The petals of these are embroidered in section. French bean needle. Embroidery needles come out from the bottom. Hold the embroidery thread with your left hand and circle the needle. Then follow this stitch and thread the embroidery cloth tightly. Do not loosen the thread in your left hand and slowly pull it to the thread in your right hand. Be careful not to pull it too tight, or the pattern will not be full. This place uses a straight stitch. We use long and short stitches here. After this long and short stitch is made, according to the general position of the renderings, French bean stitches can be embroidered on it. These stick supplies contour embroidery. This place uses needle embroidery. Chrysanthemum embroidery needles come out from bottom. Thread the embroidery cloth next to this needle. Don't tighten this embroidery thread completely. Thread needle at the top of the pattern. After the needle is out, put the thread over the needle and tighten to form the shape of a tiny leaf. And then this is followed by an upper needle into the middle. This place uses a leaf stitch. This place uses long and short needle embroidery. That's all for this. Thank you.